And now, right to your hosts of Down the Garden Path, Joanne Shaw and Matthew Dressing.
Welcome to Down the Garden Path, where we discuss down-to-earth tips and advice while doing our best to help you seasonally manage your garden and landscape. I'm Joanne Shaw, owner of Down to Earth Landscape Design, and with me is my co-host Matthew Dressing. Hello, Matthew.
Hello, Joanne, and good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Matthew Dressing, owner of Natural Affinity Garden Design. As landscape designers and gardeners, we believe it's important and possible to have great gardens, which are sustainable and low maintenance, and we want to help you make it happen.
That's right, and welcome, everyone. It is February, and we are kicking off a new month here on Down the Garden Path, a month all about houseplants. So joining us tonight on the show is Kevin Tholenaars to talk about his online houseplant business called Plantsome. So if you have a question for Kevin about online plant shopping or about Plantsome, send us a question to instudio101@gmail.com. So a little bit about Kevin. Kevin is the co-founder and CEO of Plantsome. Kevin moved to Canada 6 years ago from the Netherlands, and the idea to start an online plant store came about when founding team realized there were very clear signals that the needs of consumers in the archaic home and garden industry were not being met. In March of 2020, Plantsome opened its digital doors to the public, right in the middle of a global pandemic. It was scary, but it ended up being the right service at the right time. As people were forced to look close to home for hobbies and to keep them occupied, many flocked to plant care as a new obsession. Plantsome also provides its customers with an app that helps them take care of their plants by sending watering and fertilizing alerts exactly when it is time to take care of their plants. It is their belief that their job isn't done until when their customer receives their plants, it has only just begun. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, I think your timing on this business was like right on the mark, wasn't it?
Yeah, we didn't know that going into it, of course. It was obviously, as any business that's just new, fraught with uncertainty, but certainly, I think we had a service that was definitely in high demand when people were cooped up inside.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you deal in the plant industry when you were in the Netherlands?
Not myself, no. I've
okay.
been in e-commerce for about 15 years. So my background is in building online stores and running online stores for other companies. I myself, I'm a plant enthusiast by hobby, really. So I really only, when I started this business, got into it professionally.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, and I think the timing, all of us in the industry, as you know, Matt and I are both landscape designers, and Matt was recently working at a garden center, and then the pandemic started, and now he's teaching at school. So we definitely have seen the wave and the demand of people really wanting to, whether it's house plants, whether it's growing vegetables, there really has been a movement almost. So it's great and when people couldn't actually get to their garden centers, right, and get to the stores to get their plants. So I could see that, especially for house plants, that having something online would be very beneficial. How does it all work?
Right. Yeah. So the way it works is our customers can go on our website, which is plantsome.ca. Where we will help and guide them by providing them with a selection of plants that work perfectly for their home. And we're really catering our experience to beginner and intermediate plant parents, as we like to call them.
Okay.
By giving them filtering options and 5 easy to answer questions to help filter for a selection of plants that work perfectly for their home. Once they see the selection of plants that we've filtered for them, they can click on the plant, add it to their cart, perhaps add a nice pot and some care accessories. And then once they've checked out on our website, our warehouse teams will get a notification to start packing away, and we will pack that order in specialized boxes for easy and safe shipping. And within a few days after that, the plants will arrive perfectly safe and healthy at the customer's doorstep.
Excellent. Now, will there be plant care information with the package?
Yeah, excellent question. So the way we've solved for that is basically there's three elements to it. We've always have an excellent customer service team on standby if there's any support needed. That goes beyond without question. Secondly, by giving those 5 questions to customers, we're already helping them set off on the right foot by providing them with plants that are right for their home. And thirdly, we have an app, and the app will allow them to add the plant that they have decided to buy from us. And when that plant is added to the app, or to their version of the app, it'll start giving them fertilizer and watering instructions and alerts exactly when the plant needs it. And those will be very specific to the location and type of plant. And so that really provides a foolproof way to care for a plant or multiple plants, and helps customers automate some of the care needs and really enjoy the plants as opposed to feel the stress of needing to care for them.
Right. Can you tell us those 5 secret questions? Because that seems like a great idea, that it's not just an ordering site like a la Amazon where you're just clicking what plant you want, that there actually is help and you're helping them be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very basic. The questions are quite basic, but it just helps us to filter for, just helps us filter through our selection of plants that we have on our website, which is quite large. We have over 100, typically over 120 to 130 plants. So one of the questions is around, what type of room will the plant go in? And this might be an interesting question because you might think, well, what do you care whether it goes in my bedroom or it goes in my living room? But we typically find that living rooms and bedrooms have different types of lighting and have different types of options for lighting. So it'll help us understand, what those needs are. And then there is a question around lighting specifically, whether it gets a lot of light or a little bit of light, so that we can, again, filter for the right plants. And then obviously the next question is, what type of size of plant are you looking for? Because the size of plants are vast. Like we carry plants from 2-inch pot size all the way up to 11 or 12-inch pot size. So having an idea of how tall you are thinking you'd like your plants to be gives us an idea of what selection you'd be interested in looking at. And then we're asking you whether you're good at taking care of plants, or whether you're not so great or new to taking care of plants.
Okay.
And then finally, the last question around pets or kits at your place. And we ask you whether, commonly you have pets or kids at home, because it'll give us an idea of whether plant toxicity is a challenge or something that we need to be aware of when giving you a selection of plants.
Okay. Those are great questions. And when I think of the where, even though I think sometimes, you're not in the bedroom as often as you are in the living room. So I think even if it's the light is the same, like I think it's also being able to keep an eye on the plant, right?
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely. Great question, or a great comment. And that's something that we select for when customers are selecting office as the location where the plant goes. We select for plants that are typically easy to care for, easier than most other plants, because we know when folks are in the office or office setting, plant care isn't the first thing that comes to mind. It's usually work, usually.
Yeah, depends on if you're a landscape designer, no. But
yes, exactly, absolutely. Exactly. There might be certain types of work where it's plants first and work second, or other work second. But so we try to assort for, again, a selection of plants that works within the room.
Oh, that's good. That is good. And I think, pet and toxicity of plants, I don't know if you can speak much to that. That's been a common thing I know that I find in my industry as well for outdoor plants. That's something that people are very aware of, sometimes a little like needlessly, but I get it, especially cats. I think cats tend to be, dogs a little bit, but I think it's a cat that seems to be, wanting to go after plants. So do you have categories that, I guess you must, if you're asking that question, that are a little bit more animal safe?
Yeah, we do have a selection of plants that we consider pet safe. And we look at the standards as applied by the Canadian government and the U.S. government, because they tend to have archives with lists of plants that are known to be safe to pets. And we strictly adhere to those recommendations to make sure that, you know, when we label something pet safe, that it is actually pet safe. And to your point, it's definitely a hot topic. And yes, not every potentially toxic plant will immediately create huge concern when it's being ingested by one of your pets. But we do want to exclude any toxicity levels. When you select pet safe, it's a safe for your pet plant.
Perfect. That is a great thing for people to, just to be comfortable with. For sure. Now, we have a couple listener questions. One is about whether you ship to the U.S.
Yes, excellent question. Not yet, and
Not yet. Okay.
I'll give a little bit more insight into why that is, because it might be interesting to know. Shipping plants in pots across borders is actually heavily regulated. And so the Canadian government, as well as the US government, has heavy regulations around what soils can move between borders and what companies are allowed to move those soils between borders. So this is the main reason why we're currently not active in the US. We're considering doing that, but it would require us to have a brand new setup in the US so that we can start running operations from there.
Yeah, it's not necessarily, I think people often think it's the plant, but it is the soil.
Yes.
So we had last year we had someone who was selling air plants, and he shocked us by saying that he could send them because he was in Canada as well. And it's oh yeah, because there's no soil,
That's right.
So yeah, so that is a good question. And yes, for our listeners to understand that there's, something, as careful as it is and as highly regulated as that industry is, we've still gotten a lot of invasive species that have managed to still make it right to our country. So it's really important to do. So it's really important thing, but it's a really hard job to keep insects out, or different airborne diseases for plants. So
yeah.
Are you're concentrating on house plants now? Do you see ever expanding to annuals and perennials? So I'm gonna read the listener who asked me that. Sorry, her question. I'll get to it. But Katie, yes, any annuals or perennials eventually, or?
It's something we're looking into. We're looking into it this year, actually. So we will be coming out with a very small. I just preface it by saying it will be a very small collection of outdoor garden / patio plants. But it requires a little bit of a rethink in terms of how we're structuring our website and how our plant finder works, and even our app. So we want to make sure that when we launch a category like outdoor, when we launch product like outdoor plants, that the experience is there to match, and we don't just add more product to our website, because we're known for the entire experience, that being frictionless and fun and seamless, and we want to be able to provide the same level of service when we go into more of an outdoor category. We also need to do some more research around, for example, how perishable are outdoor plants when we box them up and we ship them for, when they're in a box for a few days. We know with tropicals exactly what we can do and what we cannot do. So when we do go into those categories, which we will have a small assortment this year, we'll have an experience to match that.
Excellent. Well, I think for our listeners, a lot of patio plants, a lot of tropical house plants can be used, can be on the patio for the summer, right? For the season. Matt and I often talk about it on the show. There is, a lot of flexibility there, right? And there's a lot of ways to really, some people use, different house plants, taller ones for shade or for privacy screening, a bit of screening, that type of thing, or even at your front door, the front door containers. There's a lot of opportunity there. So you kind of just by doing tropicals, you still do have a little leg, like a little foot into the outside, right? Because people can order them.
Yeah, absolutely. Great comment. And I
Mhm.
almost forgot to say that.
Mhm.
We definitely have plants that, are fit to go on a patio, at least seasonally.
Mhm.
Various ficuses are very commonly
Yeah.
found on patios. But there are many others.
Yes.
What we always say to customers when they do want to bring their green amigos, as we like to call them, when they want to bring their green amigos outside, is to let them get adjusted to the lighting differences as they move them outside. So don't move them into a bright spot from a
Mhm.
darker spot right away. That might be a bit of a shock to the system, but let them get adjusted or used to the outside environment and the additional light that the plants take in. I always kind of like to say that, even the best grow light that you have indoors will still be 10 to 20 times less powerful than the sun. And so it
Mhm.
just gives customers an idea, or people an idea of, the vast difference between sunlight, actual sunlight, and light through a filtered setting indoors, or a grow light, for example.
Yes, yes. And often I think something that people don't realize too is a lot of houseplants, even though they're tropical, they are like understory plants, right?
Yes.
So they even in let's say the rainforest or something like that, where they're growing in their natural habitat, they weren't out in the 90-degree sun or 100-degree sun in a concrete pot, right? Like they
Yeah.
were, they had other plants around them,
Yeah.
and the humidity and the different environments. So
High
it's a
humidity and moist
yeah.
environments. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's great. That's absolutely true. I think most folks almost kind of by
Yes.
association assume that every plant is just dying for that full sunlight, whether,
Mhm.
whether it's a ficus or a ZZ or a Sansevieria or Dracaena. And it couldn't be farther from the truth. Exactly. It's a very good point. And I would say 95% of the plants that we carry probably would not thrive in full sunlight. So
Yeah.
there you have it.
Yeah. Very good. Would you have care information, or is that something that the app would help with? Because, usually the plants are an investment, so they're bringing them outside for the summer, but then there's always that challenge of bringing them back inside, hibiscus, some of the flowering ones that people like to bring back inside.
Yeah. So the typical plants that are basically outdoor plants that are brought indoors to survive the winter,
Hmm.
I would say that's an area that we will have to do a little bit more work on. And that's
Okay.
because those are the types of plants that we're looking to add to our experience or to our
Hmm.
site for the
Yes.
first time this year. So
Excellent.
we don't yet have a ton of information on that. There are certain bring your plant indoor 101 type of
Yes.
content pieces that we will find
Yeah.
on our blog, like do's
Hmm.
and don'ts for any type of plant, but very specific to specific types of plants when it comes to outdoor plants that need to come inside to survive the winter. Will be found on our website probably later this year.
Excellent, excellent. That's a good point. Yeah, there is a lot of information. I know Matt and I are actually working on a book. For our listeners who are wondering, Matt is going to join us as soon as he gets out of class. So teaching a class, we're always limited to when he can join us this season. But he and I are writing a book, and we do mention, when to do different things at different times. So we're still in the middle of that, but we do cover houseplants in that in certain sections and type of thing. So yeah, that's a lot that goes into that, but it's a popular question. So I'm sure that's something that your website will dive into. Susan has so a longtime listener, Susan says, "Wow, thanks for this information. I just went to the website and it is amazing. Who knew? Thank you." So there you go. It
Thank
is
you,
a
Susan.
beautiful
Appreciate it.
site. And I love how you've named the plants. Like, I mean, it is fun. When you said frictionless and fun, I'm like, that is totally, it's got a really cool vibe to it.
Yeah, we're trying to, there's I feel like there's this stigma around plants and around taking care of them and buying them. I myself have found the same when I was, as a consumer, when you walk into a nursery or you walk into a place that has plants, you see all these Latin names and complicated,
Mm.
kind of hard to spell names coming at you. And, you know, you automatically start assuming, wow, this must be really difficult and very complex, this whole world of plant care. And buying and taking care of plants. And we want to kind of, make it more of a human experience and more of a fun experience, because that's what plant care should be all about. It should be something that is a fun hobby that is, not draining your battery, but it's charging your battery. So that's why on our website, you'll see that we take a little bit of a different approach. And we do love to write little bios about our plants, and we like to say they go on all sorts of crazy plant ventures. And I'll certainly say that we sometimes go a little bit overboard when you read some of our copy, but it's just us having fun with the product.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the way it should be.
That is great. So Carl has written in an interesting question for you. Being that we're in Canada, he's asking if you sell cannabis plants, and if so, what is the criteria to purchase them?
Yeah, so we do not sell cannabis plants. And the reason why is, again, it's a different type of industry with different regulations. And also, it's not something that we have any particular expertise in. That being said, I think it is a good suggestion call that we should add it to the app. I mean, there are probably plenty of folks out there that have cannabis plants potted up, and they're looking to get some automated watering and fertilizer instructions sent to their phones. So we'll definitely take that one away and look into that.
Yeah, that's a good question for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the app. I mean, it's gorgeous as well, and it does seem very simple to use. I was mentioning to you before the show, that I'm on an Android. So it's available for Apple or for an iPhone and an Android.
That's right.
And it has some instructions, because I know you were regarding, and that's also in Dutch as well. So there's a partnership with the app.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I should mention that right now there is a bit of a bug. Unfortunately, I don't like to talk about this.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
It's fine.
If we're going to have all these people go to the app, we might as well tell them, right?
Absolutely. So I will speak to it briefly. And there's a bit of a bug where, for some reason, currently the Android users are getting the Dutch blog posts pulled to their app. So the normal behavior, the normal experience would be that if you open the app, you will see the latest blog posts that we've written on plantsome.ca, and you can browse through them, you can click them, you can read them. But for some reason right now, it is pulling the wrong language posts. And yeah, to touch briefly on that, Plantsome is in partnership. It's built and created by the founding team here in Canada, but it is built and created in partnership with another company out of Holland, who had previously built out an experience around buying and taking care of plants. And as opposed to starting everything from scratch, as the team here in Canada, we decided to partner with them and bring that experience over to Canada and continue developing it together. So that's why you will also have a plantsome.nl, and you will be able to go there and purchase plants. If you ever have a friend living in Amsterdam, you can still buy plants from Plantsome, and the experience will largely be the same, even though there are two different companies. It will be very much the same experience.
Excellent. Yeah, it makes sense in this day and age, right? And anything around plants, like, nothing is new. We're not inventing anything new, right? It's just a matter of developing the right product for the right market, with the right resources. So that's a really smart thing to do. And we know how good, how plant life is so ingrained in Dutch culture, right?
Right.
I was saying that a lot of our nurseries here in Canada, as well, I'll say Ontario, since I'm only from Ontario, but were formed, years ago by Dutch immigrants to Canada. So all our trees are grown and things like that. So that is very cool. And the technology. So even with it's still a beautiful app, and I love that, like I said, about mentioning the names and things like that. You did briefly mention that in addition to the plants, people can also buy the pot, which I loved because I have done that where I have bought the perfect plant. I did a kitchen renovation last year and I had the perfect plant for my perfect corner in that new kitchen. But boy, finding the right pot and the right height in the right plant stand was like an exercise in, oh my goodness. So it was like a part-time job for me. so,
Yeah.
so yeah, tell us
Yeah,
about that.
I should circle back really quickly for 10 seconds to say that the Android version of the Plantsome app is fully functioning. So all you'll
Yes.
see is some Dutch blog posts, but if you want to download the app and add the plants, that even the ones that you have in your home right now, provided that they're in our library, and if they're not, you can send us an email and we'll try to add them to our library. But the app is fully functioning. So do apologize for the Dutch blog post. That will be resolved hopefully within a few weeks, but it's fully functioning. I wanted to just
all the
Android users out there say we didn't build a broken app completely.
No.
It's just a minor kink, and we'll fix it. But
before you answer my last question, let me do what based on that, because I think that's great that we can also add the plants we already have, and that when you were talking about it, that's something that occurred to me. So can we add the plants we already have at home in addition to new ones?
Yeah, and we get I will preface this because my customer service team will get very upset if I say otherwise. We do get a lot of requests to add more plants, even ones that we do not sell. Yes. And we love all your questions and requests for that. There is a bit of a backlog, so please bear with us. Have some patience while we add those plants that you have in your home that we don't carry right now. But we do love building out the app and making sure that all of the common and even the uncommon plants that are in people's homes are that you can find them on the app and that you can use the app for those plants as well.
Excellent. So that's good to know. So so now if you remember my last question, but I think that's a great feature and I get that. I mean, it's hard to keep up with what people are asking for, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of requests for plants. But so on the pottery side, if you go on our website and you click on a plant that you like, what's really cool, a really cool feature is the fact that you can select a pot that you like, and it'll superimpose the look of what the plant and pot will look like together, so that you can see what the full picture looks like before you end up buying the pot. And we have a very extensive collection of, I think, over 100 or 120 different pots in our assortment in various colors, shapes, sizes, on stands, hanging, or more classic looks, or more tapered looks, or more modern looks. So we try to cater to everyone. It makes for a very convenient shopping experience if you're able to buy a pot that will match in terms of it fitting all in one go.
Yeah. So will your staff help you? Because a lot of that is scaled too. Like, will the staff help the purchaser or the customer? Oh, yes, that pot will work with this plant, or no, it's a little bit too big.
So there's two answers to that question. So the way that the website works, there's a little bit of magic going on in the background where when we bring in a new plant, we tell the system that we have created the diameter of the pot. And by telling the system the diameter of the pot, the system will know exactly which pots to expose on the website that will be a good fit with that particular tropical plant. And so that is how we make sure that the pots fit with the plants. And so when you go on a product page of a plant, all the pots that you see will be great fits. Now, there is obviously, this is the second piece to the question, the second answer to the question. There's always a few kind of oddball pot sizes that were just a little bigger than the grower told us, or a little smaller than the grower told us. So our fulfillment teams try to really look out for and pre-fit the plant and pot to make sure that it is actually a good fit, and we'll reach out to the customer if it isn't.
Oh, good. Yeah. They send something with, the measurement with the outside diameter, not the inside diameter, or the other way around, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's always things beyond our control, but I think it really helps to see the plants in the pots. Really, it's kind of to fall in love with the plant even more. Like, that was the difference I really felt when I looked at the website compared to just, I look at plants all the time and I get emails all the time, but I really love the fact that they were in the pots and they were on the plant stands. I think that really helped. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're,
it's a good feature, and it's also, I think, one of the reasons why a lot of our the people that buy plants from us really like buying the pottery, because you get that total combination and you can see what the end result will look like. It just makes for a convenient buying experience.
Excellent. So I'm going to put you on the spot here because I'm looking at Boris, the terrarium, which I
Uh-oh.
love that. So yeah, so is that everything in that comes together, or is that including the containers? This is one exception, right? The terrarium is kind of the exception of the pots, but
Absolutely. Yeah, you found one of the few exceptions. Yes. So the terrarium, it's actually, and we should probably rename this to Boris the Terrarium Kit instead of just Boris the
ah,
Terrarium, because it is in fact a kit. So it comes with everything, all of the components that you see pictured here separately. So you'll get the really nice big glass terrarium with the cork lid. You'll get the soil, you'll get the other kind of decor pieces, and then you'll get a variation of different plants. Now, we can't make specific
yeah,
guarantees on what specific plants will come in your particular order, but we'll make sure they look really nice, and we'll make sure that they are fit to be inside of a terrarium. And then once you bring them home, you can start building your terrarium yourself. There's a little video tutorial on that page as well to take you through it step by step.
wonderful. I think that's great. I mean, it makes sense in shipping, right? You couldn't really set it up because, but I think what's an amazing gift too. What a great gift.
Yeah, it's very
And
popular as a gift. It's a popular gift to give, even for Valentine's. If you want to do something with your spouse or better half, and if you need ideas for something that's more than just a product, but it's actually a fun experience to do together, building a terrarium is one of those things that could really be super fun to do.
yeah, absolutely. I think a terrarium is a great gift. And I know I've made a couple from scratch. So I think I love the idea, and my son has too. He's quite into them. And so it's something that I think having all the pieces shipped to you together, I think that is a really a great thing to do. So yeah. So welcome, Matthew.
Hello, everyone. Kevin, hello. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Yeah, definitely. So yes, I was let everybody know that you were just finishing class, but you're perfect timing for our station identification if you were.
I was gonna say it's the perfect time to jump in and say, "Hey, Kevin," and thank you everyone for joining us here live on Reality Radio 101. I'm Matthew Dressing, now here with my co-host, Joanne Shaw, and you're listening to Down the Garden Path. Joanne and I enjoy hosting Down the Garden Path each week, bringing you interesting and relevant topics to help you achieve a great garden. We learn right along with you from our research and from the wonderful guests, such as Kevin, who is joining us here on the show. Don't forget you can spend more time with us down the garden path. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Our handle there is at Down the Garden Path Podcast. You can also find us on your favorite podcast provider. And while you're there, please hit that subscribe button to be notified of new content. And please don't forget to like, share, and leave us a comment. We love hearing from you. You can always write us here at instudio101@gmail.com. Perhaps if you're listening to the podcast downloaded and you've come up with a question for Kevin, we'd still love to hear from you. You can also reach us on our own websites. You can find Joanne at down2earth.ca and myself at naturalaffinity.ca.
That's right. Thank you.
Back to you guys.
No problem. We have lots of questions pouring in, and some comments. So Kevin, Eric says, love the show. A very interesting topic. Shipping. So if you sell, this is a good question from Harry. So if you sell fertilizer and or medicines for plants, are you able to ship to other provinces?
Yeah, it's great question there. So when it comes to fertilizer, we actually don't sell fertilizer, and it's a good question because it also makes me want to do some research on that, whether I am allowed or whether I am not allowed to sell that across provinces. What we sell is called a soil enhancer. And so we've worked closely with another BC company called Marfel, who have produced a very cool, sustainably sourced soil enhancer that is made from plankton. And it works really, really well. It's not officially graded as a fertilizer because the way it works is it enriches the soil rather than going straight into the roots. So it's a little bit of a different application, a different way of enriching the growth of your plants, but it, in the end, achieves the same result or similar result.
Excellent. Well, that is great. Matt, do you know
Very
anything
cool.
about that, about fertilizers across the province?
I think you might be able to, but no, I would have to actually research like the permits and everything, like Kevin would probably too as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's
I need to do some more research. I think it's possible. I mean, I think I've found other places that sell fertilizer online, and I don't think that it's regulated in the sense that it's restricted by province. But it's an excellent question, and I don't know the answer. So, I mean, that says it right there. That is
that's
a
right.
good
That's
thing
right.
to do some research on.
That's right. Love live situations like this. So Jan is asking, is the app free?
Yes, it's free, and it is ad free. And we love supporting anyone that is looking for a way to help them take care of their plants. So, of course, it's an app that was created to help our customers succeed in taking care of their plants, but we don't want to exclude anyone. Why build something just for a smaller group when a larger group can benefit from it? So anyone is welcome to download the app and use the app to manage the care needs of their plants. And I'll do a shameless plug here because our team has been really, really hard at work and trying to make the app experience better. We've come a long way from when we launched a new version of the app last year, and we had quite a few troubles getting it to work properly with a few new Android and iOS updates. And as a result, the app hasn't gotten the greatest of reviews on both Android and Apple. So if you do end up downloading it and you like the experience, please help us by giving us your honest review. We're a small company, and it really does matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important that everybody understand what you're trying to achieve, right? There's a lot of plants and there's a lot of ways to care for them. So this is a huge undertaking. So yeah, so please be positive, everybody that listens to Down the Garden Path. I really love it. I love the names, and I love we were just talking, Matt, about the fact that they sell the pots and the plants as well. And I just think that's such a great feature. So yeah. There's a lot going on, and it's we're having a lot of people writing in saying about, this is Joyce. Hello, longtime listener here. Yes, Joyce, welcome back. Very cool info tonight. I'm looking at the website now, and it is pretty amazing. So yeah, so everybody, I think there's so many plant sites out there, but yours really, to me, stands out. So I love it.
Yeah, we've tried, like I said, we really try to emphasize that, the experience should match the fun and joy that people tend to get from being surrounded by plants. And obviously translating that to a website's not easy, but we try to do that. We think the fun should start when you're buying, and not just when you've got the plants in your house.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree. I love going out and buying and seeing what's all cool and new, and yeah, that's half the fun right there.
Yeah,
exactly.
So are you able to track, or have you looked into this yet, and just to see, are there any specific trends that you're noticing, in the last few months, like since this trend has become crazy, right, in the last 2 years with houseplants? But are you starting to notice, any trends?
Yeah, there's definitely some trends, some interesting kind of insights that I can share. There are some evergreen products that seem to forever be popular, and I would say the Monstera is still, a very, very popular plant in any type and shape and size. There are various types of Monsteras, Monstera adansoni, Monstera deliciosa. They're very popular. Adansonnies are popular because they're fast growing. They're very peculiar in terms of their leaf and their leaf growth. And the Monstera deliciosa is obviously a classic, and it's still very, very popular. When we take a step back and look more at trends from a overall standpoint, palms are still popular. Although I also do put a little warning to say, make sure that, again, you know what you're getting into. Those are plants that are not always the easiest to care for. Make sure to find a good spot for it where you know it will thrive. And then there are, I would say, typically the variegated plants are very, very popular right now. So anything with any multicolor variegation on the leaves is very, very popular right now. So, for example, Tredescentia plants like the Tredescentia Nanook or the Pink Panther, those are very popular. But also string of hearts, string of turtles, anything where there's a little bit more contrast to the plant's leaves is something that seems to be in very high demand.
Interesting. And I've heard more and more about the Monstera, and that is one plant of all the plants I have and I've grown in my lifetime. I have not grown that one.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I know.
I have to reflect everything that Kevin is saying or repeated. The students here, that they've got Monstera cuttings here in the greenhouse. They're super excited, and they're showing up with everything with a little bit of color in it, and the prayer plants and Tradescantias, like you were saying. Everything color is really catching everybody's eye, and they're really excited about it. So that's very cool to hear that, though you're also seeing those trends that far away as well.
Yeah, and then there's still the evergreens, right? The ZZ plants, the snake plants. I mean, Sansevieria these days, they seem to come in almost limitless shapes, sizes, and color schemes, and it's hard for a company like us to even keep up with what the amazing growers in Canada are growing from a variety standpoint. It's truly wild.
Yeah. Now, do you? That brings a good question about where do you get your plants from?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
I know I did. I think we would be lagging a little bit. Where do you source your plants from?
Okay, right. So the partners that we work with for that we source our plants from are local Canadian growers. So I would say roughly 80 to 85% of the plants that we source are from BC-based growers. Now, this is because our two warehouses that we currently have are based out of BC and Alberta, which are the predominant areas that are being serviced by the BC growers. We work with many different growers, and the process that we go through with our growers is we try to understand what they're really good at and which are items that are some of their basically showpieces, the ones that they are strongest in, and we try to make sure that we select those and work with them specifically on those types of plants. But we do carry plants from I would say 15 different growers here, and the rest of the plants that we source are sourced, a handful are sourced from the US actually, and then a few are from growers in Ontario, just to round out the assortment.
Excellent. Matt, you had a question?
Well, no, I think Kevin kind of answered it, but I was just wondering, as you're talking about keeping up with customer demands and all the crazy varieties and cultivars that are out there, I was just wondering do you have, how many new introductions do you end up having to Plantsome every year? Do you kind of do it like the ornamental outdoor industry where you're introducing new plants at a single time of year? Or I think you kind of talked about picking up those strong sellers from your suppliers, or those easy sells and those great ones that they focus on, or do you just kind of bring it in yearly? Or are you always trying to introduce new crops or new selections? So I don't know if there's really much more to say there, but that was my question.
No, it's an excellent question. I think it's typically one of those things that for a lot of folks, it's interesting to know, when you look behind the curtain, kind of what goes on and how does the whole process at a company work. So for us, I would say we bring in new plants almost every week. So if you really are, and we have a few customers that really scour our website every single week to look for things that are new. There are new plants being added every single week, and that's because it is truly a wild industry that we're all in, and there's so much innovation going on. There are so many different new plant varieties that are being cultivated that we almost have to keep up that way. We don't always know what's coming up either. Some plants are kind of taking us by surprise. They're being introduced by growers, and we by now have I think we have a pretty good eye on which types of plant based on pot size, height, how easy it is to care for it. As I said, variegation, all those types of all those types of characteristics of plants, to get a feel for if someone's introducing something new, to get a feel for whether we think it's going to be a hit or not. And we also talk a lot to our counterparts in Holland, because Holland is known to be a very innovative place for even tropical plant growth. So there's a lot of innovation happening in Holland that finds its way into North America, maybe a year later or a few years later. So we can kind of talk to our partners in Holland to say, hey, what's going on in your world, so that we can kind of anticipate that happening here in our world.
Yeah, you kind of see what's coming down the pipeline. And you are, so Scott is asking if you have a brick and mortar store, or are you just online sales? So your concentrate is an online business, right?
It's an online business. We have a pickup option for folks that are in Calgary. We have a pickup option for folks that are in Vancouver or in the Vancouver area. And we do have a storefront in Vancouver that is attached to our warehouse. It's more to service the local community, and it's not something that we specifically focus on, but we have the place that we're in has a storefront, so we figured it would be a waste to not decorate it with all of this beauty that we have sitting right here. So we do have that. It's an excellent opportunity for folks that are close to us to have a more meaningful conversation about a big project or a specific care questions that they have. So yes, we do have a store. It's open 7 days a week from 11 to 5.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's where you get all the impulse purchases, right? When people walk in.
Yeah,
right?
There's definitely a group of people that love to just browse and browse and browse. And it's nice to see the product in the living flesh.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And Mason, who is saying, leave the app alone. It will make folks learn a new language. And he loves the show. So
yeah, Dutch is not the easiest language, Mason, but I do applaud your efforts there.
Your optimism, there for sure. For sure. And yes, and we just said it. So Sue's asking about what city, and you just said that Vancouver. So there you go. So that is great. But you can ship across Canada right now, and the special packaging, like you figured that out, right? Because we've got right now we're cold, but then in the summer it can be very hot as well.
Yeah, so we've got special packaging to account for a few things. It accounts for the fact that when it goes through the mail system, we work a lot with FedEx and Canada Post, and they handle packages a little bit differently, and we're accustomed to kind of making sure that our plants can go through both of those processes without any major issues whatsoever, or any issues whatsoever. Now, that being said, we ship out thousands of plants every week, and there's always a chance that something happens. And just want to say, if there's ever an issue with anything, a simple note to us, an email to us, and we'll obviously take care of it. There's never any question about that. But having said that, we do package a little bit differently, for example, for winter times as opposed to for warmer, sunnier summer times. And when it gets particularly cold in some areas of Canada, we also hold on to your orders for a little bit to make sure that we give them an opportunity to survive. And so when it's basically below -10, there is no heat pack or packing that we can do in a sustainable way that will allow that plant to to have a high chance of survival. So we're very, very good at shipping in cold temperatures, but there is a limit. And so we try to keep an eye out for local weather forecasts. Like our packing team is on Weather Channel websites the whole day, looking at every order and where it's going to,
Yes.
and just trying to eyeball when it's a good time to ship it out.
Yeah, and you've gone through a lot of attention to detail as far as the customer experience, and I feel like then that part of that is especially setting them up to be successful, right? And so shipping them a plant that potentially could be frozen or chilled or nipped, so I think that's great. I think everybody would, as much as you're anxious to get your new plant, you would prefer that it come when it's supposed to come.
Yeah.
And
that being said, it is our responsibility to bring you a healthy, thriving plant. So we always want to give our customers the idea that you can place your order with us. Sure, if you're living in Grand Prairie, Alberta, we might have to kind of find the right window to ship it to you, but it is our responsibility to ship you a plant that arrives in good condition. So customers never really have to worry about the weather. We'll worry for them.
Yes. Oh, that's good. Now, is there a warranty with your plant material? Once if they've had it at home for 3 months or something like that?
Yeah, there's a 3-month, what we call 3-month happy plant guarantee. So basically what that does is we wanted to take away some of the potential stresses of ordering plants online. You're not seeing the product when you're ordering it. So you need to feel comfortable knowing that there is a value proposition, a service proposition there that gives you that confidence that whatever happens, I will be looked after, and my order is going to be looked after. So the Happy Plant Guarantee takes care of that. Now, there is obviously some fine print. There's always fine print. And so one of the things that we do ask our customers is that they use the app so we can kind of help them monitor how often the plant has been watered, kind of so that we can kind of troubleshoot what we can do to remedy some of the challenges.
Yes.
But we do realize that sometimes plants come into our possession and there might be something lurking beneath the surface that we don't see. And so that's really where this plant guarantee comes in, that when there's something there that's just slowly progressing and is getting progressively worse, customers shouldn't have to deal with that. We believe that that's something that we need to be dealing with, and that's where the Happy Plant Guarantee really comes in.
Excellent. Much like when we install outside gardens, I warranty the plants, but of course the homeowner has to water them and look after them. You know what I mean? So there it is. As much as there's a guarantee for living material, you still need to, you need to care for it as best as you can. And I think it's great that you have the app as far as helping. You've done everything. You've given the client, such great service. Those 5 great questions. For listeners that might have joined us late, there's definitely filter questions that you ask in order for the client to purchase, the customer to purchase the best plant for their situation. And then you have the app that helps you know when to water it. And so I think that's wonderful. You've really set everybody up for success. And like you said, this is a new thing to order plants sight unseen, right?
Yeah, it is a new thing, and we totally get that. So we get a lot of questions about from customers. There's obviously that anxiety that builds when they get a tracking code from us on Monday and it's not there yet on Tuesday. And that's fine. We love to just kind of guide them through the process and educate them a little bit also about, this is what you can expect. Also, this will be perfectly fine. Your plant will be in a box for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Typically, that's no problem at all. Plants are able to take that with absolutely no issue whatsoever. Of course, when there are delays in shipping that are over and above, again, we always look after the customer, and we'll make sure that issues get resolved. There's always that chance, but that's not something the customer should worry about. That's really on us to make sure that gets looked after and resolved.
Excellent. So with Valentine's Day coming up, I always think everybody should think green and not necessarily flowers, right? Do you have do you have like seasonal promotions or seasonal events?
Yeah, we do have a promotion going on right now where we ship a little heart-shaped Hoya in a cute little pot on all orders, I believe over $100 up until February 8th. So there's still a little bit of time if you want to get a nice plant order in for your loved one, and you order over $100, there'll be a tiny little heart-shaped Hoya with your order.
Excellent, excellent. So as we want, I mean, time flies, right? When we're talking about plants, right, Kevin?
Yeah, definitely.
So once again, the website is plantsome.ca, and the Plantsome app is available in the for your computer, for your phone, both an Android and iPhone. And I think it's a great combination to have both. Is there anything else as we wind down the show? Is there anything else you want to mention or promote?
I mean, I would just like to say that thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciated it. It's the first time I'm getting the ability to answer questions live from the audience. So to whoever sent us any questions, thank you so much. It's a lot of fun to do. And if you do have any follow-up questions, if you've downloaded the podcast and you have questions, then Matt kind of already spoke about it, but don't have to email those guys. You can also email us. We'll more than happily answer those questions for you as well. So please do reach out. Don't be a stranger. We love helping customers out with any plant-related questions, and we hope to see you on our website.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. This was great. And I think it's a new way to order plants. So I'm excited. I'm excited for what you have coming down in the future and watching you grow. So I think that's going to be wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thanks again for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So as we wind down the show, Matt, how are you doing?
I am good, and I'm also very excited to see Plantsome grow and see what's new and exciting there with them for sure. And going back and listening to the rest of this conversation, because it sounds like you guys had a great one to have. So, yes.
That's right. Yes.
As we wind down, thank you. Oh, I think I'm delayed, so we're talking over each other.
That's okay.
Yes. Just as we were going to say, we're almost at Valentine's Day. We're going to have Marianne Wilburn, author of Tropical Plants and How to Love Them, for you on Valentine's Day. And then we are going to have a repeat of Dave's Air Plant Corner with David Lynn on the 21st. And then we're going to round out our month on the 28th with Ask Us Anything. So we have lots of questions, and there's lots of great content yet to come. I'm getting the hook, so I'm going to just take us out. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in to us here live on Reality Radio 101. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us here. And we'll see you next week on Down
the Garden Path. Thanks. I think Matt's having trouble, but thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kevin. We'll be in touch, okay?
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Down the Garden Path with your host, Joanne Shaw and Matthew Dressing, right here on Reality Radio 101.